the more content that's out there, the more representation, the more love stories that don't end in absolute tragedy, the more happiness of owning your own truth, um, the less difficult it can be for other people to live their own lives. And that's why I.
You are listening to the Call to Action podcast, where we aim to inspire, educate, and inform entrepreneurs and self starters on tech and tips related to navigating this ever changing world. This is episode 8 of the Call to Action podcast. We are doing something new today, and it is the first of the Fireside chat series that I will have on the Call to Action podcast. Today's guest for the Fireside chat is TT Banks. TT Banks is a newly self-published author in the LGBTQ fiction category, selling over 1,000 copies of her debut novel, Breaking Protocol. She recently published her second novel in the collection, Post-Mortem, and is currently working on her third. Listen in as she shares her superpowers, what inspires her, and some helpful tips on what it takes to self-publish your book. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to episode 8 of the Call to Action podcast. I am your host, and I am excited today because I have a guest. And actually, she is my first guest for the new Call to Action podcast. And as you heard in the intro, she is a self-published author. And before I bring the guest onto the show, if you've been listening to the previous episodes, you know that I like to begin each episode with a motivational quote. And today's motivational quote is from Winston Churchill. So here is the motivational quote for episode 8 of the Call to Action podcast. The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. So, everyone, as always, I encourage you to take this throughout your day and throughout your week. And I challenge you to be the optimist in what may be perceived as difficult situations. So now let's get to today's show. And as mentioned, I have a special guest. Her name is TT Banks, and she is a self-published author. And I would like to add that she is not new at doing her own thing. With the help of her ever supportive wife, she's been a successful entrepreneur for over 10 years and hopes through her writing to inspire others to follow their dreams. So please join me in welcoming TT Banks to the show. Hi, TT, and welcome to the Call to Action podcast. How are you today?
I am fabulous. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. I enjoyed my holiday weekend. How about you?
Oh, yeah. Lots of sitting time, which was really cool.
Right. Sometimes we need that, right? As entrepreneurs, you know,
Oh, yeah.
you got to stop every now and then, take a break for yourself. So that is awesome.
You got to have time to kick back.
That's right. That's right. So, TT, I like to begin today's fireside chat with an icebreaker. So, the icebreaker is for you to share your superpowers. So, share with us your superpower.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to have to go with my helpful nature. Whether it's
Okay.
like helping someone open a car door, which in Maine, when it freezes here, happens a lot. Or when, I don't know, I'm at the grocery store and I see someone who's having a down day, I try my best to make them smile.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about helping other people up, and making them feel good makes me feel good. So I think helping people is what I like.
I agree.
My
You know
superpower.
what? Yeah, you know what? Kindness. That
Yep.
is,
There
to me, so powerful.
Yeah.
That's something that goes a long way. And I know the whole thing, like even in the supermarket, you may be at the store, we say store, grocery store here, but you're like, you see somebody, sometimes something as simple as a smile as you're walking down the aisle just to say hi. It's like people light up from stuff like that. So I try to do that too when I'm out and about
Uh,
because it makes me feel good too.
Absolutely. I think it's a world changer for a lot of people. And I think that a lot of little acts of kindness, you don't know how much you've helped someone sometimes. So,
That's so true. And also, I think it breaks barriers.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. People just they'd be surprised, like, oh, this person just spoke to me, out of nowhere, or I'll give someone a compliment, like, hey, I like your hair, I like your shoes, whatever.
absolutely.
Especially women, we love that
Oh,
stuff.
hey,
TT, thank you for sharing with us your kindness superpower that you possess. I think that is awesome. And now I want to know about you and what inspired you. So tell me about what inspired you to want to write your book or what or when, how about this? When did you know that you wanted to write a book?
Well, I've always really liked writing. Well, maybe not always. I think in 10th grade, I think it was 10th grade, I had a very hard teacher, Mrs. Dean, and Mrs. Dean was a harsh critic, but she always pushed and pushed and pushed and picked, let me just say, and pushed me
Hmm.
into finding my own voice in writing. And unfortunately, somewhere along the way, I somehow got talked into majoring in math, which I don't know what I was thinking. Uh,
That's like opposite end of spectrum, isn't it?
I know. I went full nerd,
Right.
which is fine.
Hmm.
But more recently, I went through a depression actually after a fairly traumatic event that we don't need to discuss right now.
Hmm.
But I decided that after I went through that and I started coming out of it, I was reading all of these really great self help books, and they said that basically you need to start over and rediscover who you are as a person. And one of the ways that they suggested doing that was journaling. And I actually really hated all of the journaling exercises. But I did add in hysterical sidebars, expletives, internal dialogue, things that I was really angry about. mostly, mostly yelling at the self help book. Um, but that's the kind of stuff that really just pops out in my writing. There's a lot of fun stuff in there, and I don't know. It helped me rediscover my passion for it, and I decided to take a stab at fiction. I sat down, and over a few days span, I wrote half a book. And after writing half a book, I decided, what the heck, I better keep
That's
going.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's so funny. Like you were talking about your side notes. To me, that's that real voice that comes out. You have the part when you're writing, and I've never written a book, trust me, but I have journaled. But when you're writing something and then you're like, you have your side notes like, what was I thinking? Or what the heck was that? Or why'd they do that? So that's like the real side that comes out. And, of course, all of it's real, but, you have your piece where you try to be proper and say the right things or just, flow with what's on your mind. And then the other side comes in like, well, what was that about? Or, it's like almost like two people talking at the same time. May sound weird. I don't know.
Oh
But
no, I get it. You've got the devil and the angel on both sides of your shoulder, and sometimes they're just both screaming at you. So,
right. You got to give them both a chance to talk,
yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly.
TT, you just published your second novel in your collection, Post-Mortem, and you're currently working on your third. So share some information about what inspired you for this series.
Well, I love my LGBTQ community, and I always look to supporting them and boosting that in some sort of way. And just generally as a group, we need more visibility and more representation. And growing up, I did not have a very supportive family. And before I came out, I watched every TV show, every movie, usually streaming actually on YouTube.
Mm,
I read every book that I could get my hands on, and seeing those people and how they lived their lives, and being able to read about that, how they worked through their struggle, gave me strength to actually come out and be who I am. And
awesome.
yeah, and so I'm not sure what I write about is going to do that, but the more content that's out there, the more representation, the more love stories that don't end in absolute tragedy, the more happiness of owning your own truth, um, the less difficult it can be for other people to live their own lives. And that's why I write the kind of books that I do.
Awesome. So let me ask you this. So the audience that reads your books, do you find that it's that community, or is it like all communities that are reading your books?
Honestly, I hope it's all. um, because the more exposure everybody gets to how normal and just average everybody's life can be, and doesn't matter what sexual orientation or gender identity you have, I feel like the better it is for everybody in the world, in the community at large, not just the LGBTQ community.
TT, you have been a pleasure to have on the show. You've shared your superpower, you have shared what inspires you. Now, I want to know from you, what advice would you give to an upcoming or an inspiring author?
Well, I think I'm going to quote one of my favorite cartoon fish characters and say, just keep swimming.
Dory.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I think the trick is to actually just keep writing. I know that a lot of people say, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. Um, and I know that writer's block is a thing, but you just have to do it. My cure all for writer's block for myself personally is blasting music into headphones. And when I actually really totally cannot write another word, I pick up my computer and I walk somewhere else. I think that a lot of people feel
Mm.
like this is their desk is their writing space. That's the only place they can do it. But you would be amazed at what an environmental change would do for writing. So,
That's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, just going to a new
Oh, yeah,
spot. The energy's different, right?
absolutely.
So, yeah, I could see that.
Another thing
Yeah.
is don't be afraid to reach out and ask advice. There are so many people that are out there that are writing, on Twitter here. Hashtag writing community. What up, people?
Oh, yeah. Woohoo!
There, everybody's willing to give advice. You have a question, you get a million different answers, and maybe one of those will work for you. So that's my advice.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. As far as
Hmm.
marketing, how do you market your book
Well,
or books? Mhm.
I am on Twitter a whole lot, and so I do a lot of self marketing that way. And there are a bunch of ways that you can do that, by promoting your own book. But I'm all of my books are on Amazon, and Amazon is a great selling platform. They do market their own stuff. They stick you in the new release category, right when you publish. And then there's sponsored ads. Those are paid for ads. And I highly recommend doing that. You can set your budget really low. It doesn't mean that they're going to put the ad on every page, you know? So you could say, I'm going to spend $5 a day and I'm only going to spend 50 cents an ad. But you have to make sure that you're targeting who you want to target. So my books are mainly LGBTQ stuff. So, I mean, I have very specific words that I use, like lesbian fiction. Hello,
Mhm.
come to me, lesbians. So you have to go look at it every single day and see what other keywords are coming up when you're doing this, so that you're not spending money where you don't need to be.
That makes sense. I've done that with Google paid ads, and you're right. When you do your paid ad campaigns, you want to look at what other words or keywords that people have used to find you,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll see if there's some good. I've never done Amazon, but I've done Google. But I get that, and that does make sense because you can save a lot of
Oh,
money
yeah.
if you're using very targeted words because some things are very niche. So
Yeah.
it's really good to keep that in mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. You don't want to put in the word detective and let them just run wild with that, because that does not work for everybody. So
Right.
it's very specific. I do recommend going on Google AdWords, though. They have a great way of figuring out where the most number of hits are, but the least number of activity is. So that's also a really great place to get keywords.
Definitely, definitely. And it will save you a ton of money. I found that if you do your research up front, when you're doing your paid ad
Hmm.
campaigns, you'll save a lot of money in the end and, set your daily budget and keep it where you want to be. So,
Exactly.
very good
All right.
advice. Yeah. Okay. So, Also, we know that you are a self-published
Hmm.
author. So, TT, explain, if you can, like in steps, what does it take to get your book or your works as a self-published author? Like, explain those steps to us.
Okay, it takes a lot of hard work. um, you don't have anybody there to help you, so that's where the hard part is. But let's see. First, I would always recommend selling on Amazon, and then I am about to drop my stuff on Smashwords. But you have to read all of the information that you can to make sure that you are doing the steps correctly. You can't do a shortcut when you're doing your KDP stuff. You can't make shortcuts when you're doing your Smashwords. They have very specific requirements for what your stuff needs to look like before you upload it.
Now, is there special software you have to
You do,
have?
yes, you have
Like,
to download Kindle
okay,
Create for Amazon. And then you also, if you're going to do paperbacks on Amazon, you have to download their templates. And then you have to reformat everything so that your book looks correct when it's printed, and it's going to look correct when it's on the ebook. When you switch over
okay,
to Smashwords, you are using a Word document template that is already formatted for you, and it is a pain in the butt, but the directions are great. So you have to sit there and read through stereo instructions pretty much and figure it out.
So how long does it take? Like from beginning to end, how long does it take to do a self-publish process,
Um,
like for your book?
well, once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. But you do have to reformat your book for every single thing that you're dropping it on. So if you're doing an ebook through Amazon, you have to format your book one way. So that takes several hours usually. If you're going to go and stick it into a paperback, that's another few hours, maybe a couple days to make sure that it comes out just so. And the Smashwords, that is a time-consuming process as well. So I mean, to get on all three, the ebook for Amazon, the paperback for Amazon, and the Smashwords, I would say a few days. Yeah.
Okay, that's not too bad. So after you've written your material, you got it all done up, then you can pick these one of
Yeah.
these platforms and just like Nike says,
Just
just
go
do
for
it.
it.
Just
I
go
mean,
for it,
there
right?
is the creation of your
Yeah.
covers, which I go take pictures and format them on Paint and PowerPoint, and I get crazy. But there are really easy ways to get covers, and
Hmm.
that's by having an artist actually do it. And there are a lot of artists out there who make beautiful covers. I'm always in awe when I see other authors' work. So, why didn't I do that? Yeah.
That's cool. Well, hey, no, you just you know what? It's that entrepreneur mindset, and I get it. We want to do
Hey,
everything from beginning to end. So yeah, I totally get that. Totally get that. Wow, this was helpful. So this was great, TT. I've learned a lot. Never written a book, but now I feel like at least I know where to begin, and
There
I
you
know I can
go.
always contact you if I have if I have more questions
I'm
about how to do a
I'm
self-publish
quite
for
helpful,
my
so you
book.
know.
Mhm.
That's
Oh
great.
yeah, I know because that's your superpower. I gotta give you a new name or something or a
There you go.
new picture, Bitmoji. Yeah, have it helpful across your chest.
I don't
I don't know how
know.
that could go.
Might
I
attract
don't
the
know.
wrong
Maybe
crowd.
not. Maybe not. Right. TT, share with us where your books can be purchased and also let us know how we can contact you.
All right. My books, both Breaking Protocol and Post-Mortem, are available on Amazon and Smashwords. And if you want to contact me, please go to ttbanksbooks.com. That's my website, and there's a little Twitter icon. We can be friends later on, and you can also email me through that as well.
Now, do you have any last words you would like to share with the listeners before we end the show?
Absolutely. My personal motto is follow your dreams or
You know what? I like that. Follow your yes, definitely. It's so raw.
it is.
Well, TT, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. I don't know if I told you, but you were actually the first guest on the Call to Action podcast. So woohoo!
Oh
If
no.
yeah, you're my guinea pig.
Oh dear.
And it's been fun.
It
It
has
really
been.
has been fun.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. So again, thank you so much for doing the new fireside chat with me. And for everyone else, I want to thank you for listening and to stay inspired and stay motivated. And like Winston Churchill said, be the optimist. So let's look for the opportunities in all situations. Until next time. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Call to Action podcast. Make sure to visit me on my blog at ctamarketing.biz. There, you can find articles for entrepreneurs and self-starters on tech and tips to help navigate this ever-changing world. Until next time.